A living room, no realism, nothing superfluous. The Valens and the Rayleigh sitting down facing one another. We need to sense right away that the place belongs to the Valens and that the two couples have just met. In the center, a coffee table covered with art books, two big bunches of tulips in vases. The prevailing mood is serious, friendly, and tolerant. So this is our statement. You'll be doing your own, of course, at 5:30 p.m. on the 3rd of November in Aspirant Dunnet Gardens, following a verbal altercation. Ferdinand Ray, 11, armed with a stick, struck our son, Bruno Valen, in the face. This action resulted in, apart from a swelling of the upper lip, the breaking of two incisors, including injury to the nerve in the right incisor. Armed? Armed? You don't like armed? What shall we say, Mikkel? Furnished, equipped, furnished with a stick. Is that all right? As a haven of security, unlike the Montserrat Park. She's right. We've always said the Montserrat Park. No. Aspirant Dunnet Gardens, yes. Absolutely. Anyway, thank you for coming. There's nothing to be gained from getting stuck down some emotional cul-de-sac. We should be thanking you. We should. I don't see that any thanks are necessary. Fortunately, there is still such a thing as the art of coexistence, is there not? Which the children don't appear to have mastered. At least not ours. Yes, not ours. What's going to happen to the tooth with the affected nerve? We don't know yet. They're being cautious about the prognosis. Apparently the nerve hasn't been totally exposed. Only a bit of it's been exposed. Yes, some of it's been exposed and some of it's still covered. That's why they decided not to kill the nerve just yet. They're trying to give the tooth a chance. Obviously, it would be best to avoid endodontic surgery. Well, yes. So, there'll be an interim period while they give the nerve a chance to recover. In the meantime, they'll be giving him ceramic crowns. Whatever happens, you can't have an implant before you're 18. No. Permanent implants can't be fitted until you finish growing. Of course. I hope. I do hope it all works out. Let's hope so. A slight hiatus follows. Those tulips are gorgeous. It's that little florist shop in the Mouton de Vernet market. You know, the one right up the top? Oh yes. They come every morning direct from Holland. 10 euros for a bunch of 50. Oh really? You know, the one right up the top. Yes. You know, he didn't want to identify Ferdinand. No, he didn't. Impressive sight. That child, face bashed in, teeth missing, still refusing to talk. I can imagine. He also didn't want to identify him for fear of looking like a sneak in front of his friends. We have to be honest, Veronique. It was nothing more than bravado. Of course. But bravado is a kind of courage, isn't it? That's right. So how? What I mean is, how did you find out Ferdinand's name? Well, we explained to Bruno he wasn't helping this child by shielding him. We said to him, if this child thinks he can go on hitting people with impunity, why should he stop? We said to him, if we were this boy's parents, we would definitely want to be told. Absolutely. Yes. His mobile vibrates. Excuse me. He moves away from the group. As he talks, he pulls a newspaper out of his pocket. Yes, Maurice. Thanks for calling back. Right, in today's Le Monde, let me read it to you. According to a paper published in the Lancet and taken up yesterday in the FT, 2 Australian researchers have revealed the neurological side effects of Antriol, a hypertensive beta blocker manufactured at the Varennes Pharma Laboratories. These side effects range from hearing loss to ataxia. So who the hell is your media watchdog? Yes, it's very bloody inconvenient. No, what's most inconvenient about it, as far as I'm concerned, is the AGMs in 2 weeks. Do you have an insurance contingency to cover litigation? Okay. Oh, and Maurice, ask your DOC to find out if this story shows up anywhere else. Call me back. Excuse me. So you're a lawyer. What about you? Me, I have a wholesale company, household goods, and Veronique's a writer and works part-time in an art history bookshop. A writer? I contributed to a collection on the civilization of Sheba based on the excavations that were restarted at the end of the Ethiopian and Eritrean War, and I have a book coming out in January on the Darfur tragedy. So you specialize in Africa. I'm very interested in that part of the world. Do you have any other children? Bruno has a 9-year-old sister, Camille, who's furious with her father because last night her father got rid of the hamster. You got rid of the hamster? Yes. The hamster made the most appalling racket all night. Then it spent the whole day fast asleep. Bruno was in a very bad way. He was driven crazy by the noise that hamster made. As for me, to tell you the truth, I've been wanting to get rid of it for ages. So I said to myself, right, that's it. I took it and put it out in the street. I thought they loved drains and gutters and so on, but not a bit of it. It just sat there, paralyzed on the pavement. Well, they're not domestic animals. They're not wild animals. I don't know where their natural habitat is. Dump them in the woods. They're probably just as unhappy. I don't know where you're meant to put them. You left it outside? He left it there and tried to convince Camille it had run away, but she wasn't having it. And had the hamster vanished this morning? Vanished. And you, what field are you in? I'm in wealth management. Is it at all possible? Forgive me for putting the question so bluntly that Ferdinand might apologize to Bruno. It'd be good if they talked. He has to apologize, Elaine. He has to tell him he's sorry. Yes, of course. But is he sorry? He realized what he's done. He just doesn't understand the implications. He's 11. If you're 11, you're not a baby anymore. You're not an adult either. We haven't offered you anything. Coffee, tea. Is there any of that cluffle tea left, Ronnie? It's an extraordinary cluffle tea. I wouldn't mind an espresso. Just some water. Espresso for me too, darling. And bring the cluffle tea anyway. Another hiatus follows. What I always say is, we're a lump of potter's clay and it's up to us to fashion something out of it. Perhaps it won't take shape till the very end. Who knows? You have to taste the cleffer tea. Good cleffer tea is an endangered species. You're right. What is it you sell? Oh, domestic hardware, locks, doorknobs, soldering irons, all sorts of household goods, saucepans, frying pans. Money in that? Is there? Well, you know, it's never exactly been a bonanza. It was pretty hard when we started. But provided I'm out there every day pushing my product, it rubs along. At least it's not seasonal, like textiles. Although we do sell a lot of foie gras pots in the run-up to Christmas. I'm sure. When you saw the hamster sitting there paralyzed, why didn't you bring it back home? Because I couldn't pick it up. You put it on the pavement. I took it out in its cage and sort of tipped it out. I just can't touch rodents. I don't know who put the cleffer tea in the fridge. Monica puts everything in the fridge. She won't be told. What's Ferdinand said to you? Sugar? Oh, no thanks. What's in the clever tea? Apples and pears. My own little recipe. It's gonna be too cold. Shame. Cut in the clever tea and distribute slices. Apples and pears. This is a first. Apples and pears? It's pretty textbook, but there's a trick to it. There is. Pears need to be cut thicker than apples because pears cook faster than apples. Ah, of course. But she's not telling you the real secret. Let them try it. Very good. It's very, very good. Tasty. Gingerbread crumbs. Brilliant. It's a version of the way they make clever tea in Bacardi. To be quite honest, I got it from his mother. Gingerbread, delicious. Well, at least all this has given us a new recipe. I'd have preferred it if it hadn't cost my son 2 teeth. Of course, that's what I meant. Strange way of expressing it. Not at all. Mobile vibrates. Looks at the screen. Oh, I have to take this. Yes, Maurice? No. Don't ask for a right of reply. You only feed the controversy. Are you issued? What are the symptoms? What is ataxia? What about on a standard dose? How long have you known about this? And all that time you never recalled it. What's the turnover? Ah, yes. I see. Right. Elaine, do you mind joining us? Yes, I'm coming. Sergey? They've known about the risks for 2 years. An internal report, but it didn't formally identify any undesirable side effects. No, they took no precautions. They didn't ensure, not a word about it in the annual report. I'm impaired, motor skills, stability problems. In short, you look permanently pissed. Turnover, $150 million. Blanket denial. Idiot wanted to demand the right of reply. We certainly don't want a right of reply. On the other hand, if the story spreads, we could put out a press release. Say it's disinformation, put about 2 weeks before the AGM. He's going to call me back. Okay. Actually, I hardly had any lunch. Oh, help yourself. Thanks. I'm incorrigible. What were we saying? Oh, that it would have been nicer to meet under different circumstances. Oh, yes, right. So, the clever tea. It's your mother's? Yes, the recipe is my mother's, but Ronnie made this one. Your mother doesn't mix pears and apples. No. Poor thing. Has to have an operation. Really? What for? Her knee. They're going to insert a rotatable prosthesis made of metal and polyethylene. She's wondering what's going to be left of it when she's cremated. Don't be horrible. She refuses to be buried next to my father. She wants to be cremated and put next to her mother, who's all on her own down south. 2 urns. Looking out to sea. Trying to get a word in edgeways. Another hiatus follows. You're very touched by your generosity. We appreciate the fact that you're trying to calm the situation down rather than exacerbate it. Frankly, it's the least we can do. Yes! Not at all. How many parents standing up for their children become infantile themselves? If Bruno had broken two of Ferdinand's teeth, I'm afraid Elaine and I would have been a good deal more thin-skinned about it. I'm not certain we'd have been so broad-minded. Of course she would. She's right. By no means. Oh yes, because we all know very well it might easily have been the other way round. Another hiatus follows. So what does Ferdinand have to say about it? How does he view the situation? He's not saying much. I think he's still slightly in shock. He understands that he's disfigured his playmate. No, he does not understand that he's disfigured his playmate. Why are you saying that? Ferdinand understands very well. He understands he's behaved like a thug. He does not understand that he's disfigured his playmate. You don't care for the word, but the word is unfortunately accurate. My son has not disfigured his son. Your son has disfigured my son. Come back at 5 and have a look at his mouth and teeth. Temporarily disfigured. The swelling on his lip will go down, and as for his teeth, take him to the best dentist. I'm prepared to chip in. That's what the insurance is for. What we'd like is for the boys to make up so that this sort of thing never happens again. Let's arrange a meeting. Yes, that's the answer. Should we be there? They don't need to be coached. Just let them do it, man to man. Man to man? Elaine, don't be ridiculous. Having said that, we don't necessarily have to be there. It'd probably be better if we weren't. If we just weren't, wouldn't it? The question isn't whether we should be there or not. The question is, do they want to talk to one another? Do they want to have a reckoning? Bruno wants to. What about Ferdinand? It's no use asking his opinion, but it has to come from him. Ferdinand has behaved like a hooligan. We're not interested in what mood he's in. If Ferdinand is forced to meet Bruno in a punitive context, I can't see the results would be very positive. Madam, our son is savage. He's a fucking savage. To hope for any kind of spontaneous repentance would be fanciful. Right, I'm sorry. I have to get back to the office. You stay, Annette. You tell me what you've decided. I'm no use whichever way you cut it. Women always think you need a man. You need a father, as if they'd be the slightest use. Men are a deadweight. They're clumsy and maladjusted. Oh, you can see a stretch of the overground metro. That's great. I'm really embarrassed, but I can't stay either. My husband has never exactly been a pushchair father. Oh, what a pity. It's lovely, taking the baby for a walk. And it lasts such a short time. You always enjoyed taking care of the children. Didn't you, Mikkel? You loved pushing the pushchair. Yes, I did. So what have we decided? Could you come by the house with Bruno about 7:30? 7:30? What do you think, Mikkel? Well, if I may. Go on. Honestly, I think you lost your fucking mind. I bet you never saw this coming, didn't you? God, I wish I could be there. When they break you. When they break your mind. But probably that's just the cocaine talking. Seriously, I rather think Ferdinand ought to come here. Yes, I agree. That was weird, but okay. I don't think it's for the victim to go trespassing around. Oh, that's right. Personally, I can't be anywhere at 7:30. Since you're no use, we won't be needing you. All the same, it would be better if his father were here. Mobile ringing. Alright, but then it can't be this evening. Hello? There's no mention of this in the executive report, and no risk has been formally established. There's no evidence. Tomorrow? Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, you told me. I'm in The Hague tomorrow. Wait, you're working in The Hague? I have a case at the International Criminal Court. The main thing is that the children speak to one another. I'll bring Ferdinand here at 7:30 and we can leave them to have their reckoning. No? You don't look very convinced. If Ferdinand... Let me see. If Ferdinand is not made aware of his responsibilities, they'll just look at each other like a pair of China dogs. It'll be a catastrophe. What do you mean, madame? What do you mean made aware of his responsibilities? I'm sure your son is not a savage. Of course Ferdinand isn't a savage. Yes he is. Elaine, this is absurd. Why say something like that? He's a savage. How does he explain his behavior? He doesn't want to discuss it, but he ought to discuss it. He ought to do any number of things, madame. He ought to come here. He ought to discuss it. He ought to be sorry for it. Clearly you have parenting skills that put us to shame. We hope to improve. But in the meantime, please bear with us. Now, this is idiotic. Can we not end up like this? I'm only thinking of him, and I'm only thinking of Ferdinand, except that you're talking to a fucking sociopath. That's me. Hello. Okay, I got the message. Let's just sit down for another couple minutes. Another drop of coffee. Ah, a coffee. Okay. Then I'll have one too. Thanks. Oh, that's alright, Ronnie. I'll do it. Another hiatus follows. See, you're a great art lover. Art. Photographs. To some extent, it's my job. I adore bacon. Ah, yes. Bacon. Cruelty. Majesty. Chaos. Balance. BDSM. Don't be a cunt. That's right. Wow, is Ferdinand interested in art? Not as much as he should be. What about your children? Oh, we try. We try to fill the gaps in the educational system. Yes. We try to make them read, to take them to concerts and exhibitions. We're eccentric enough to believe in the pacifying abilities of culture. And you're right. Ah, and here comes the coffee. Oh, clafoutis. Is it a cake or a tart? Serious question. I was just thinking in the kitchen. Lanzatote, for example, is that a tart or a pie? What is the difference between a tart and a pie? Alright, come on. You can't leave that one little slice. Clafoutis is a cake. The pastry's not rolled out. It's mixed in with the fruit. You really are a cook. I love it. The thing about cooking is you have to love it. In my view, it's only the classic tart that's to say on a pastry base that deserves to be called a tart. What about you? Do you have other children? A son from my first marriage. I was wondering, not that it's at all important, what started the quarrel. Bruno won't say a blind word about it. Bruno refused to let Ferdinand join his gang. Bruno has a gang. He also called Ferdinand a grass. Did you know Bruno had a gang? No. Oh, fantastic. Why is it fantastic? Oh, because I had my own gang, innit? Me too. Wait, what does that entail? There are 5 or 6 kids devoted to you and ready to sacrifice themselves. Like in Spartacus. Absolutely like in Spartacus. Who knows about Spartacus these days? No, they use a different model. Spider-Man? Anyway, clearly you know more than we do. Ferdinand hasn't been as silent as you led us to believe, and do we know why Bruno called him a grass? No, sorry. Stupid. That's a stupid question. First of all, I couldn't care less. Also, it's beside the point. I wouldn't give 2,000 fucks about it. We can't get involved in children's quarrels, and it's none of our business. No. On the other hand, what is our business and is what unfortunately happened? Violence is always our business. When I was a leader of my gang, when I was 5, such a fucking lunatic, I fought Didier Luglu, who was bigger than me in single combat. Bullshit. What are you talking about, Mikkel? What's that got to do with it? No, you're right. It's got nothing to do with it. Even though it may not be true. We're not discussing single combat. The children weren't fighting. Oh, I know. I just suddenly had this memory. That's not a big difference. Oh yes, there is. Excuse me, monsieur. There's a very big difference. What? I said there is a very, very big difference. The God of Carnage by Yasmina Reza.